Iseho. Greetings from Beth, the African storyteller at your villa, and her fabulous scarf. Acknowledged? Good. Today I'm talking about India, which is something that is very close to my heart because this is my second home. And I feel like there's some things that people just don't tell you before you visit, and you need to know those things. India is a polarizing country. There are people who would love to visit India because it's a bucket list kind of a place, and then there are people who are like, nah, I don't really know why people go to India. Both of you, this is your video because you will learn why it is bucket list worthy and the things that you can do before you come, or you may actually find a couple of points in there that are going to be like, maybe I want to visit. India is a big, massive country. It's a subcontinent. 26 states, 8 shared territories, so massive. First thing that you might want to consider before coming is Indians in India are not like Indians out of India. Noted? Good. It happens to everybody else. Once you're removed from your local habitat, you tend to change a little bit. Now, for people, especially in Africa, some of those Indians that have been there since colonial times. They established businessmen, families, farmers, whatever. And they may look down upon African people. And they don't most times don't make the best employers, are not the nicest, are not very considerate or kind, and they just fence themselves off in these little tiny worlds of theirs. But when you do arrive here, people are very welcoming, very friendly, very, I find they're just nice. And yes, there are some bad eggs, like everywhere else in the world. You will meet swindlers and liars and people who are unkind and racist, and it happens everywhere else in the world. So, but I'm just speaking for the majority of people, and especially those I've experienced. Pretty nice. Second point you want to know is you will be stared at, especially if you're black or you're white or anything that is not Indian and is relatively far from being Indian. People stare a lot. People do stare a lot, and it used to be extremely interesting, amusing, and comfortable, and then now I'm just kind of used to it and I don't notice it. My mom visited, she was like, oh my God, so many stairs, Beth. She couldn't even go down to the garden to take a walk on her own because it was so uncomfortable how many people were staring at her. And if you will get stared at, and I know that it may seem like I can handle it. It's intense because of point number 3. They tell you it's 1.3 billion people. They don't tell you how it actually translates into reality. 1.3 billion human beings is a lot, and therefore you need to prepare your senses. If you are from a country like man that has 44 million people, you barely one state. Like you're like nothing. So you don't really understand or have conceptualized what a large number of people translates into. There are a lot of people. If you go to an open air market, if you go to a mall, you will always find people. And this, based on point number 2 and point number 3, is when you tour famous tourist points, Indians do this thing, ecotourism, they visit their own. And therefore you will meet them there. They will be there, and there will always be big crowds of people in places that you go to. And like if you go, say for example, to the Taj Mahal, there'll be a small queue. There's a queue for foreigners and there's a queue for Indians because I think they pay significantly lesser to visit their own tourist attractions than foreigners. That's why there are these 2 queues. But the lucky thing is you don't queue as long. So if you're coming and you're hoping to sit on that middle bench like Princess Diana and take a picture with no one in your background, rethink that plan, honey. Please do rethink that plan. There are a lot of people everywhere, unless of course you're going in the dead of winter, sometime when like they are absolutely like it's off peak. But there's never anything off peak in India, really. Like even off peak has its own off peak attractions or off peak people that come at off peak. So just keep in mind there'll be that, and as a tie to that, people ask for selfies a lot. I used to give them out all the time, like, yeah, sure. Until this one time I went to the Gateway of India. My husband and I was stuck there for almost an hour because we started with one person and then another person and then another person. Because we already had selfied with other people. It was only fair we selfie with others, right? And then since then, another friend of mine told me that not all the younger men who selfie with you have the most honorable intentions. So I was like, I don't know. So now I selfie with like little kids or people I know, or I don't know. I just judge if you are worthy of selfieing with me. But just be aware, if people ask for a selfie, you can say no or you can say yes. It depends on your instinct and how you feel about it, but be ready to be asked. And then thing number 4 is please do your research before you come. This is the land of so many different types of people who live differently. There are places you'll go that are pure vegetarian, purely non-alcoholic. Be respectful of that. There are places you'll go that you can get beef, but it's gonna be buffalo beef. Please don't make a fuss. Just eat your damn buffalo and move on. There are places you can go where you can actually get cow beef. And then if you take that cow beef and you go back to the non-cow beef areas, you will get arrested because this is law. And then you need to understand some of the stereotypes. If you're in Gujarat, you want to try out their mouth fresheners. My Gujarati colleagues and my Gujarati best friend, they have proved to me that Gujus do know their air fresheners. I know it's a weird thing for people who don't they know their mouth fresheners. It may be a weird thing for people who don't mouth freshen. It's a thing. It's a wonderful thing. And they have a large array of types of mouth fresheners. You want to try out the biryani if you go to Hyderabad. You wanna, if you go to Bengal and you meet the Bengal people, try out their sweets. Oh, one of my best friends, her mom makes the best kheer in India. It is an amazing sweet that you gotta try, but you gotta try that version. So you wanna know all those small little stereotypes that people make. And because some of them are going to be helpful. So do your research. My mom and I, my husband paid for a trip for my mom and I to go experience the Golden Triangle, which is one of the most popular tourist destinations. You start from Delhi and experience the history and the temples and all that. And then you move to Agra, which is where the Taj Mahal is. And then you finally go to Jaipur, which is the pink city. Yes, a whole city painted pink. And we went without researching, and it was in December. It was freezing cold, man. Like my mom and I were we were so cold the whole time. We like almost left the hotel in our duvets, and we almost missed a few of the events and things that we wanted to experience because of how cold we were. Even like I'm gonna just put up a picture of us at the Taj, and you can see me in my dress and little gloves and a tiny sweater, and it was cold, man. So do your research ahead of time and understand the kind of people you're going to be visiting. That research will probably lead you to number 5, which is the gods. They have millions of gods in Hindu religion. And I know for Christian who only has one God who comes in the holy, the Holy Trinity, and for Muslims who only have one God, or, be respectful of that fact that there are many gods, and you need to be ready for that, because there's a God. Like the way I view it is they see God in everything. In the tree and in things that sustain them. They see God in the snake and in the monkey and in the elephant. There's a representation of God, and different groups of people will have their own God. They're even familial gods, like they'll pray to this God in their little puja area in their house every morning, or there'll be smaller groups of people. Even within Hindu itself, there's like the Jain people who don't eat anything uprooted from the ground, like the carrots, potatoes, the onions, the garlics. You're wondering how they live? It's a thing, and they're happy with what. Please, at all times, do not argue with people. Let people keep their faith and be respectful of other people's beliefs. Take care. Acha. Now, point number 6 is shopping. When you go shopping, try and take an Indian, a local, a native. But if you can't find somebody like that, do understand there's one point about shopping. Everything is negotiable. Whether you are at the best diamond dealers in India, or you are on the street buying a 5 rupee candy, anything is negotiable. Just throw it out there. At one point I went to a Louis Vuitton store and I didn't want to buy anything, but I'd already drunk the glass of champagne. I was trying on these sunglasses that was 75,000 rupees. I was like, I wish there was a discount on this. She was like, oh, "Oh, ma'am, let me see what I can do." She was like, "Yeah, I can get 42% off for you." I was like, 50%? And she was like, "Let me see. Let me call the manager. Please do not tell this story to my husband. Hopefully he doesn't watch this, but a manager was called and things got organized." Ridiculous, but my point is, try and haggle. Try and know a couple of Indian local words and use those and kind of help yourself get a bargain, or whatever, even if it's just kitna na bahaya, and then reduces by a couple of hundred or whatever. Like, try, yeah? Yeah, everything has a discount now. And then the other thing you want to understand is street food is the best food. That is point number 7. You want to try Indian food. Indian food is food for the gods. It is good. It is spectacular. It is amazing. Everybody knows this is the land of spices. What do you think the food tastes like? But if you're going to try out street food, here's the download. Go easy on yourself. Indian stomachs are titanium. They can handle a lot. When you go on them streets, let me give you a formula. Try it with something light. Maybe it'll be a sugarcane juice with a squeeze of lime. Start there. And then maybe after your stomach is like, we cool, you can then throw in maybe a veg sandwich. And then once your stomach is like, not really giving you a tough time, you can then add in the cheese. You can go have a nice paneer, a bowl of paneer and some rice. See how that cheese is handled. And if that is good, then carry on. Have yourself some chicken tikka. Order some chicken stuff and then graduate to the ready meat. Don't do it suddenly, and please do not do it if you're only here for a blink of an eye. Yes? Your stomach is not ready for this. You will see in one of the other points later why your stomach is not ready for this. The hygiene is a little questionable in the streets, of course. And the levels of spice, which brings me to point number 8. How to order in a restaurant when it comes to spicy food. When that waiter comes up to you and says the chef would like to know how spicy you want your food, unless you're from the west of Africa or any other part of the world that can handle heat, please start from the mildest form. That is my word of advice. I have seen people, native Indians who eat spicy food, eat with a running nose and a bowl of curd to cool their tongue down, and that is how spicy it is. Do not order the spiciest meal on the menu. You're not just going to suffer in the mouth and in the stomach, you're going to suffer long after that. So be wary of your spicy. And then point number 9 is about hygiene, which has something to do with point number 8 and point number 7 regarding street food and regarding ordering of food. There's this thing where a majority of Indians just enjoy touching food. I don't know why they want to touch your food, but sometimes they just touch your food, and sometimes it's part of how the food is prepared. We're going to touch your food, and that should be fine. So get ready. When you see people do it, do not lose your cool and fricka. It happens. It's just the way we do things as Indians and as non-Indian Indians. Okay? Good. And then the other thing you want to understand is music and clubbing. Get yourself acquainted with Bollywood music. I don't care how Western the club you go to is. The DJ's gonna pretend to start off Western. He's gonna be a fancy DJ going like, yeah, we're gonna play some Drake, we're gonna play some Rihanna, we're gonna play some Beyonce, we're gonna play some old school this and old school that. But at some point in the night, honey, it's gonna get Bollywood. And when it gets Bollywood, you better know your Bollywood. I don't know my Bollywood. So what I do is, when I go clubbing, I go with friends who know Bollywood. And then I just do what they're doing. Okay? So it's funny how it just is so ingrained in them to appreciate their own music. And you don't invent moves. No. That's what Bollywood producers and choreographers do. They invent the moves. You do the moves exactly how they were invented. Don't try to be clever. Don't do that dip and low thing that you do in Africa or in the Caribbean or in the US or whatever. Please do embrace how Indians do the zipping and zooming. Okay? So just be be aware that if you go out to enjoy a night of clubbing, it looks very different from how it looks like anywhere else in the world. And at some point, you're going to meet the great Bollywood music. And when you do, show it some enthusiasm. All right? And then point number 10, and the point number 11 is, if you're black in India, a majority of people, a large number of people, I would say 60% of the people I meet are not very well educated on Africa as a continent, and they will assume you are either South African or West Indian. Why do you suppose so? I'll give you a second. Yes, cricket. South Africa is big on cricket. West Indies is big on cricket. These are two black nations. So where else in the world would you be coming from? You're either West India or you're South African, no? So people will basically ask you like, so where do you come from? Africa now? I'm like, yeah. South Africa? No, Kenya. They're like, South Africa. Kenya, yeah. But then you just go with the flow. You're like, yeah, because if you're not South African, you're gonna be West Indies. So you gotta pick your battle. If they say you're from the West Indies and you say African, they say South Africa. You admit that you either or. Okay, so it's just a thing that because the cricket is a religion here, and somehow these two countries are big on cricket and they have black people. Hey, I guess. You know, and then the other thing you want to know is, and this is maybe less amusing, is it's about racism. And I did mention in the first point that you will find some people are racist, and I have been very lucky that I haven't experienced racism. Maybe it's because of the circles that I travel through, or the people I know, because I have Indian family here and people who really look out for me. But I haven't experienced that, and I've actually only met people who are curious. Not only, like most people who I meet are genuinely curious, like how do you do your hair, and what kind of food do your people eat, and how do you say that, and actual curiosity. And of course you meet with the ignorance. It's everywhere when people are not educated on who you are or what you are, and then they just ignore that, they expose the ignorance. But the only one time I've experienced racism in India is when my husband and I first came here in 2013, and we tried to find an apartment, and most landlords were not willing to give us a house because they thought we were drug dealers. I was like, why drug dealing? Like we could be thugs, we could be like weapon mercenary people, like we could be, I don't know, contract killers. But then I went to Goa and I saw certain brothers from a certain area of Africa that I refuse to mention because I'm being patriotic to Africa right now. But I saw how openly they deal drugs and how badly they behave. Was like, you're the reason why every damn body thinks we are drug dealers or prostitutes. So this only happened to me that one time, and it hasn't happened to me since. Actually, I experienced reverse racism where people actually treat me better because I'm foreign, and they'll be nicer to me. And it's, I think, part of the Asian culture, Indian culture, where they welcome with open arms. If you are a stranger, you're a foreigner, you know, they are nicer to you as a first impression. And I guess I just live through first impressions because I honestly get treated really nicely here. So that is something that some of my college friends can't speak on. Some of my African college friends who come here for college, and they say that they face racism, they're not treated properly, they're not given this or that or whatever. And I know there are people who suffer through racism in India. I'm speaking from personal experience. I haven't seen that yet, but I'll not do that thing where I justify like, oh, because it doesn't happen to me, then it's okay. No, it does exist, and you will experience it, and it's horrible. And hopefully over time more of us will visit India, and more Indians will get to understand Blackness in its uniqueness. And then the other thing I want you to know is, when you come to India, there's this a lot of people think because you're foreign, then your moral compass is not pointing to true north for whatever reason, because most Indian families are very protective of their children or of each other, and they're very conservative. There's an assumption that if you're foreign, then you are good to get down and dirty. I don't know, especially if you're a woman, there's just that added extra. Like sometimes I ask my friends, do they do this to you? Do they say that? They're like, no, no, no. He wouldn't have the nerve. So I realize it's because there is, I guess, an assumption that our morality is not as up to standard or to their standard, whatever that is, because there have been some horrific cases here that do not really imply high morality. But there's just that when you're a woman and you're traveling through India, please be careful. Please know to put yourself in places, in safe spaces, because there have been some really, really atrocious crimes against even Indian women. So you want to just watch out for that. And I know there's some colored sisters here who do dab in that ancient profession of the working girl, and maybe that also colors that, you know, moral perception. But just be careful where you go to, and don't be overly friendly thinking that that's how you should be treated, or don't treat it as normal. If somebody says something odd or touches you in the wrong way, turn around and say, make it stop. And then the last thing is the assault of your senses. India is a very loud country, and people used to joke and say you can smell Mumbai from the sky before you land. They used to think it's a joke. It's not a joke. India is a very intense space. Everything is loud. The traffic is loud, the people are loud, the music is loud, the food is spicy, the colors are bright. Everything, any sense you have is is assaulted to the highest level. It's just the way it is. Look at me rocking my orange on yellow, on blue, on green, on pink. What you gonna do about it? You're gonna love it, because that's just how we roll here. It is and it can be very overwhelming for people who live muted lives. So if you're coming from some drab corner of the world where you wear grays and dark blues and blacks and whites, and you just like quiet and you just want to walk through the forest and listen to crickets and waterfalls, there's some corners of India where you can get that, but for the most part, you're gonna have to travel through the rest of the India that is gonna really challenge every sense you have, whether it is, you know, olfactory or, you know, any sense you have, whether it's just, it doesn't matter. It's a place that is gonna really taste your senses and make sure that they are all engaged, and sometimes simultaneously. It is honestly a really beautiful place, and it is, to me, it is the people, the history, the philosophies, the cultures, it is the food, the spices, it is some of the everyday traditions. It is it's an old nation. It's like it is the Greek of Asia, and there's a lot to learn and a lot to do. And I hope that now you're a little bit more prepared to visit and to do it right without overlooking those 14 points. So thank you very much for watching. Kindly leave a comment, ask questions. I'll be happy to answer about anything else that I haven't covered. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you on my next video. Namaste.